The Seahawks are looking to bounce back in week 2, and the Mariners are hoping to not get bounced out of the playoffs. Welcome back to another episode of the Seattle Sports Show where we love Seattle pro sports. I'm your host, Mikey. And let's dive straight into the Seahawks. All right, the Seahawks, they took a L in week 1, and they are looking to bounce back from that in week 2. Here's some important news you need to know going into week 2. First, we can look up at the injury report here. So, Seattle out this game. He returned to practice this week, but Jamal Adams is still going to be out this week. They're hoping that, he got in a full week of practice this week. He'll get in a full week of practice next week, and then hopefully he'll be ready to go by game 3, but he is out for this game. Tackle Charles Cross is out, still dealing with that toe injury. We already knew that Abe Lucas was going to be out. He's having knee surgery. Placed on IR, going to be out 4 games. So that means he's not going to be able to return till what? Week 7, because he just has to miss 4 games, and we have a bye week in week 5. So Lucas won't be back till week 7 at the earliest. Defensive end Mike Morris is out with his shoulder. Questionable is Boye Mafe with his knee. Devin Bush also questionable with the shoulder. Both of these guys can bring pressure, and we really need to bring the pressure in this game. So hopefully they are going to make it by game time, and they'll be able to play. We will see. If not, they're going to have to find some other players that can bring some pressure in this game, because it didn't look good in game 1, right? Let's take a look on the Lions side. Out for the Lions, cornerback Khalil Dorsey out with illness. Cornerback Emmanuel Mosley out with a knee hamstring injury. Defensive lineman Josh Paschal, he's out. And then doubtful, so really unlikely to play here, their left tackle Taylor Decker out with the ankle. Again, hopefully that's going to be huge for us. Going to their backup tackle. That's why so many you don't hear about teams trading left tackles, or teams just easily filling in the tackle position. It's tough to fill, right? So you really got to take advantage that their starting tackle is out, that they're going to have to go to a backup. You're going to want to put pressure on whoever's going to be taking over for Decker there. So again, if Mafe and Bush are out, whoever is going to be in, if they aren't able to play, since they are questionable, they're going to need to bring it, because this is something that hopefully can be taken advantage of. All right, so there's your injury report. Some other news that we got out of the Seahawks. So Stone Forsythe and Jake Curhan, they will be the starting tackles in this game. The Seahawks did sign 41-year-old Jason Peters, but he's not quite ready to play. I mean, he might be, a game time thing. Like if they needed to come in and play, he could come in and play, but not quite ready yet. And I know, he's 41 years old, but he is Jason Peters. Jason Peters at 41 years old is going to be a lot better than a lot of people still. So, you know, and you can put him at left or right, whichever one you need to do. I mean, he did it for the Cowboys last year, right? I mean, all those years with the Eagles, we saw how good he is. We saw last year, Cowboys needed somebody to come in. They had Jason Peters come in, and he was a very serviceable tackle for them, even on the right side. So it's just nice to have him on the roster, knowing that he's there, that we will be able to use him if this is going to be something that is going to, last a long time. Obviously, with Cross, it's going to be not Cross. With Lucas, it's going to be a while. So hopefully, Peters is going to help fill in with that. We also signed Raekwon O'Neal and McClendon Curtis, offensive linemen off of a couple of different teams' practice squads. So they obviously know they need depth. Now, these were both undrafted guys, but thought of very highly. And like I said, you just don't, it's not easy to get tackles out there just sitting on the street, because everybody is holding good tackles, even as backups, because it's such an important position. Right? So, okay, there we know who's playing, who's not playing, and who's maybe going to play, hopefully. Now, this game in particular, I think it's going to be nuts. It's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be as nuts as last year. I'm not expecting a 45-48 game, but I think it's just going to be nuts with the atmosphere playing over there in Detroit. They are pumped. The crowd is going to be pumped. They just beat the defending Super Bowl champions, Patrick Mahomes, and they're also a team that this year they are very, very similar to the Seahawks, right? Seahawks, we did make the playoffs last year. The Detroit Lions just barely missed it. But they were kind of a team like us, seen as very good offensively, but one of the worst defenses, right? Well, just like us, this offseason, that's what they spent their time fixing. Did they, I mean, if you saw their draft, they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs, as their first pick. But you got to look at, again, just like Seahawks, what did they do in free agency? Not just the draft, but free agency as well. Players that they brought in, and players that they drafted later in the draft as well, because there was a lot of depth this year to help bolster that defense. So their defense is improved. That's why I actually had them favored to win in week 1 against the Chiefs. I had them winning that game in a pick'em league I'm doing. So they're going to be tough. There are some weaknesses that you can attack with this team that I think are going to really be great for the Seahawks and what the Seahawks do well. Because as good as Aiden Hutchinson is, he breaks contain. As they've gotten some improved corners. Some of them we see, as we looked at the injury report, some of their corners are going to be out. And they're already not great running, tackling corners. So we can attack them with Kenneth Walker. He is, like I said, was he great in week 1 following blocks? Is he great last year doing it? No. But what is he great at? He's great at running to the outside and then exploding once he gets out there and being able to hit some home runs. Okay, we saw Rashad Penny do it last year. I think Kenneth Walker can do it this year, same way to this team, because they're still going to struggle to stop the run, I think. We just got to do it a little bit different way. We got to do it to Kenneth Walker's strengths, attack the outside. We see Aiden Hutchinson, he can over pursue sometimes. And when you get players that over pursue, you want to attack them specifically, because when they over pursue players behind them, meaning linebackers and safeties, they now have to go one on one, or they're put in bad situations to have to try to tackle the running back. And Kenneth Walker is a powerful runner uh, with explosive speed to the outside, and he's just got that frame and that build where he just explodes through corners and safeties. So he, with them not having the greatest tacklers out there, I think he's going to be able to break a lot of tackles on the outside as long as he's getting around their defensive line. Once he gets out there, it's off to the races. Okay, this team, also similar problem to us with coverage. Now it didn't show up in week 1 because Kansas City, poor Kadarius Toney, right, dropping 3 balls, and they had other receivers drop balls too, but they have the same weak spots that we have. Okay, so I want to see some more creative play calling from our offensive coordinators in this game, and I want to see some more crossing routes over the middle, hit them in the same weak spots that the Rams were hitting us on last week, and that we've seen that they can be hit on. Multiple passes were dropped. One of them even right through their hands of Kadarius Toney, and then brought back for a pick 6. But those were wide open receivers, and the Seahawks should be able to find the same wide open receivers against this defense. So that's what we need to do. And then for us defensively, my goodness, we need to just adjust, right? We need to figure out what the offense is doing, and then we need to change. Okay, Pete can't just keep coming back and say, well, this is what we want to do. I want to do it. And so we thought we could do it, and then it just didn't work out by the end of the game. I don't want to hear that at the end of the game. If you figure out midway through the game that your plan is not working, it's time to pivot off of it during that game and adjust. Okay, don't tell me, well, we had a plan going into the game and we stuck to it and it didn't work out. I want to hear we had a plan going into the game. If it works, that's great. If it doesn't work, tell me you adjust. Tell me that you saw what they were doing on offense that was creating a problem for your defense, so you adjusted to put your players in the best position to make them successful. Don't tell me that you just said, well, this is what we do, this is what we always do, and that's what I want to do. Okay, that worked when we had the Legion of Boom, right? You could call the same 2 plays every play all game long. It didn't matter. That's how good they were. Okay, this is not the same team. You have to change it up a little bit sometimes. And even if it was that team, I mean, it's been around for years, right? Coaches have figured out what the Seahawks are doing. They have figured out the weak spots. Okay, look at Sean McVay. He's like 9-5 or something like that against Pete Carroll, coaching against each other. So he's figured it out. He knows what to do against this defense. And once that gets out, then everybody just copies and says, oh, okay, well, that's all you have to do to beat them. So now it's time to adjust. All right, so there's that. I still believe in this team quite a bit. Like I said before the season started, I was in a situation where I'm picking with my heart. I thought this team could go 12-5. In my head, they were more like 10-7. I might have to start leaning more towards that 10-7 if we get another week coming out looking like they did in week 1. But at this point, I'm still saying they're going to go 12-5. There's no need to panic. It's just week 1. Every team in the NFL has games that they are favored to win that they lose, and they have teams that they're, predicted to lose that they win. It's like that for almost every NFL team. There's, a couple of teams that are always at the bottom that uh, they just lose all the time, so it doesn't happen for them. But most teams, they'll have a game where they're heavily favored that they lose, or they'll have a game where the odds are heavily against them and they win. So that's how I look at week one. Week one, that was their preseason week 4. They got smacked in the mouth. They got woke up a little bit. They're going to come out in week 2, and again, I don't expect the offensive game that we saw last year out of this game, but I think there's still going to be a lot of offense in this game. Both defenses improved, but they're still not the best defenses in the NFL. But I'm thinking we're going to be looking at a game more towards like again, I'm predicting Seahawks win here. Seahawks, I'll say, let's go with a score of 33-27. That's what I'm going to say. That's what I'm going to say for our score. Close game, a lot of offense, but not quite the insane amount of defense or offense that we got last year. So I'll be looking forward to that game. And again, we'll be doing a post game show tomorrow when that when that game concludes. And hopefully we'll be talking about a win this week. All right, there is your Seahawks. Let's go ahead and bring up the Mariners and what the Mariners are doing right now. Okay, and for the Mariners, I just finished watching game 2 in this series against the Los Angeles Dodgers, in which we lost. And since the last episode, there's been a few losses and a few wins. We lost to Tampa Bay 6-3. We lost to the Angels 7-5. We won against them 8-0. Then we won again against the Angels 3-2, and now the last 2 games losing to the Dodgers 6-3, and now tonight losing to the Dodgers 6-2. We've been in a lot of late game close games, or for example, the last couple of games here, games going into extra innings. There's been a lot of that in the last week. It's feeling like playoff baseball, and hopefully that's where this team is headed after the loss today. Now, let's take a look at the standings. If it were to end today, now the Mariners would not be in the playoffs. Okay, we've played one less game so far, less than Toronto, but just based off of the record, we would be out. If we played one more game and we won, it was 82. For example, Toronto is 82 and 67 right now. If we were 82 and 67, we have the tiebreaker over Toronto. We would be in, but right now, because the games we played, we're out. So we lost tonight. We've been playing some tough games against the Dodgers, who are looking like they could be the team that goes to the World Series in the NL, right? So it's been great to see that the team is fighting. Now, you're going to say, if you didn't watch this game, you're going to say, well, we lost 6-2. How did we fight against them? Well, we went all the way into extra innings with no runs scored at all, okay? And then they had an explosion there in the 11th inning to win the game. The Dodgers did. So we're fighting. That's what we want to see out of this team. This could be a potential World Series preview. So, I mean, it would be pretty fun and exciting if that's how it worked out. So we're not quite in it yet, but let's take a look at the Mariners' schedule. We still got one game left against the Dodgers. Okay? Hopefully we're going to win that game. I would love to take one game out of this series. And then we go on the road, 3-game set against the Athletics. We get a day off. And then after that day off, it is crunch time. We'll have 10 games left in this season, all against division opponents that are, I guess Athletics are a division opponent, but they're the Athletics, right? So we're talking about the 3 teams that are fighting for playoff spot will be the last 10 games: the Rangers, the Astros, and then the Rangers again. And if we're looking at the standings, yeah, let's just look at regular season standings, and we'll look at our division here: 1, 2, and 3. Houston, Texas, Seattle. Texas half a game back from Houston. Seattle a game and a half back from Houston, but just a half game back from Texas in the division. So everybody is right there. They're right there. We're literally fighting for the division. It's not just the wild card spot we're fighting for. We're fighting for the division, and because of the schedule, it really is a fight for the division. It's not like we're going to say, "Oh, well, they're all playing other teams, so we just kind of have to watch their scores and see if they help us out." No, like, the destiny is in your own hands. You're helping yourself out here in the last well, that'll be what, 10, 14 games that are left now. You're helping yourself out. Destiny in your hands. This is the most fun time of year, right? We're getting into late September baseball. Then hopefully we're heading into October. We got one game in October. Hopefully we're going deep into October for baseball this year. We shall see. But yeah, the Mariners in general right now, my goodness. I mean, like I said, so many close games. We're just not quite getting it done. And just what's uncharacteristic again is it's been the pitching to me. It's the pitching. It's the bullpen pitching. It's the starting pitching. It's just been the pitching overall has not been as strong as we have been used to all year. Again, we're having Bryce Miller, Brian Wu out there. This is their rookie seasons. They've never pitched this late into a season before. They've looked tired. Thankfully, they got a day off and they looked better in these games. The last two games, just unfortunately didn't translate to wins, but they looked a lot better. It made you a lot more confident about what they're going to do when they go out there on the mound. A bullpen, last couple games, in general, it's looked better. Still, obviously, haven't gotten the job done, but at least it's got something, something for you to grasp on and say, hey, they're getting it back around. I mean, because for me, Suarez there for a while, he was just like not looking good at all. It was every time he was up on the mound, even when we had a lead, I was thinking, oh no, I don't know if we're going to hold on. But seems to have gotten it figured out recently, and hopefully that is going to mean, in those close games where we have the lead, that we can feel a lot more confident going down the stretch here, and then hopefully into the playoffs. All right, so there's your Mariners. No other news to talk about them. Just biting our nails and watching every game with excitement, seeing if this team will make the playoffs. That's why, like I said, I just absolutely love this team and watching them this year. And we'll see what they going down the stretch. Again, it could go either way. Like I said, before the season started, I thought this could be a wild card team that would then go all the way to the World Series because of their pitching. I still, again, believe that to be the case, but right now, the chase, the fight for the division and for a wild card spot is so ridiculous right now. I'm not going to be surprised with any outcome. I'm not going to be surprised if we win the division. I'm not going to be surprised if we end up with a wild card spot, or I'm not going to be surprised if we totally end up missing the playoffs entirely, just because it is so close right now. Yeah, we lost the last two games in a row, but Texas and Houston also lost the last two games in a row. So nobody, like I said, all year long, nobody is running away with its division. Nobody looks like they're out there so far ahead of everybody else that you say, well, clearly they're going to be the ones that win division. At one point in time, that was Texas, right? Where they had like a 10-game lead on everybody else, whereas they didn't seem like they should be that far ahead of everybody else, and then they came back down to earth, right? And now they're barely in as well. So right now, I don't think we've got to feel too bad about the 2 losses, but we got to hope that this team can turn around. We hope we can get one from the Dodgers. Then hopefully we can go in, play a Oakland team that has been horrible, and actually luckily helping us out recently, beating who did they play? Was it Texas or Houston? Either way, they're helping us out by beating teams in front of us, and then hopefully we can go in there and sweep them. And that couple of games while we're playing against Oakland, hopefully that we're rooting for Texas and Houston to each lose a couple there, so that we can get a spot even firmer in the playoffs. So that's what we're watching with the Mariners. And I think that's all I really got for the Mariners. Let's go ahead and we can talk a little bit of Kraken, because they have some news for us this week. Right, and with the Kraken, they have announced what's going on with training camp. So it's going to start September 21st. That's a Thursday. Training camp kickoff, and then Friday Forwards Day, Sunday Military Recognition Day. Then starting Wednesday, September 20th, 27th, they're going to have Defenseman Day. Then Friday that week, they're going to have National Coffee Day. Sunday, October 1st, is Kids Day. That's also like Kids Appreciation Day and the last game of the season, regular season, for the Mariners. And I'm going to the Mariners game. So lots of fun activities for kids that day all over Seattle sports scene. And then Tuesday, October 3rd, they're going to have Goalie Day. So that's their training camp schedule. Let's go ahead and take a look at their roster. Okay, so their training camp roster for forwards, they're going to have Pierre Edward Bellemare, Matty Beniers, Oliver Borkstrand, Andre Burakovsky, Jordan Eberle, Yanni Gord, John Hayden, Cameron Hughes, Cole Lind, Jared McCann, Max McCormick, Andrew Portoralski, Jaden Schwartz, Devin Shore, Marianne Studenik, Brendan Tanev, Eli Tolvanen, Alexander Wenberg, Kaylor Yamamoto. Yeah, I feel pretty proud of myself. I got a lot of these right. I've been watching the Kraken since they started, but I still going to struggle with a lot of the names in hockey in general. So I feel like I got most of them pretty close. Even though you hear them when you watch the games, it's not easy. It's not easy. For defense, they're going to have Will Borgen, Connor Carrick, Brian Dumoulin, Vince Dunn, Cale Fleury, Adam Larson, Jacob Megna, Jamie Oleksiak, Gustav Olafsson, Mitch Reinke, Jim Schultz, and Justin Schultz. For goalies, Jackson Castor, Joey Decord, Chris Drager, and Philip Grubauer. Right, so those are all people that you can expect to see in training camp. If you're going to any of those training camp fan activities, that's who you're going to expect to see there. So, going to see a ton of your stars out there. Obviously, Beniers, Grubauer. Those are when I watch. Those are the players that I'm watching. Windenberg. Those are players that I'm watching. Yanni Gord. So, should be fun. Get out there, go watch them in training camp and get excited for your team this year. I know I'm excited for this season. I'm hoping that this team can just continue to build. It was a rough season 1, season 2. We saw how they built on what they had, get themselves in the playoffs, and let's see them do it again. I'd love to see that happen, and I'd love to see the hockey fandom in Seattle keep growing, and I'd love to see my own fandom keep growing. I mean, like I said, I watched hockey a little bit when I was a kid, and then didn't watch for years, and then now I'm back because of the Kraken, and I'm enjoying watching this game and learning little bits of it here and there. So hopefully, as I'm learning this game, they'll just keep being good, so that's even more enjoyable to learn this fun game. All right. The next piece of news that we're going to have, let's go ahead. We'll just mention the Storm. Their season is over, but we can mention what happened for them in the end of the season here. Okay, and for the Storm, their last game of the season, they lost to the LA Sparks 91-89. Again, a loss, and they were in a fight all season long. They had a lot of close games for a, a team that just won a handful of games. They were in so many of them. I can only imagine that a top 4 pick is really going to help this team out next year, especially since we know the Gold Mamba, Jewel Lloyd, has re signed with the team. We got some honors. After the season is over, too, Jordan Horston was named to the All Rookie team. Unfortunately, Jordan Horston, she's been dealing with an injury to her shoulder all season long. It seemed like she is going to need shoulder surgery. She is going to stay in Seattle, get the surgery, and do her rehab here. So, hopefully she's able to get that surgery. Stick around Seattle and train in their facility there, and come back strong next year and have a even better sophomore season. Jewel Lloyd, it should be no surprise that she made the All WNBA first team. I mean, setting a single season record in points, and just even in games where the Storm lost, which was a lot of them, she was still a dominating force out there on the court. So no surprise there. And again, we're just going to be sitting here in the offseason now, waiting to see how they start to rebuild this team. Obviously, this was already like year 1 of the rebuild, where they were, I guess, just basically, it seems like, assessing what it was that they had on this team. Now they kind of know. They had a lot of rookies played this year. They're going to have a top rookie next year, pick 1 through 4. 10% chance at that first overall pick. You never know though. So we'll see which pick they end up with, who they end up picking, and we'll see how this build continues. All right, that is your Sounders. Let's go ahead, or your Storm. I mean, let's talk about the Sounders now. All right, and the Sounders, they had a game today as well where they they got themselves into a draw with FC Dallas. Okay, so they get 1 point for the standings. I mean, not great, not horrible. They were to start the day sitting, I think, number 2 in the standings. Now they're number 3. Either way, they're still in the playoffs, so that's a good thing. The bad thing is, this team, even though they're so high up in the standings, it seems like I don't know, the last month or whatever, they just have not been able to figure it out. I'd like to see this team, score some more goals and win some games. So we'll see if they're able to get that done. I'm just not, I'm just not positive they will. I don't know why. I just don't. I'm not feeling confident in the way they've been playing lately. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe they'll pick it up. So there's your Sounders. Let's go ahead and talk some OL Reign. And the OL Reign, they had a game tonight as well, in which they lost to Portland 2-0. Such a a fun rivalry with that team, and Portland is really good this year. So, you know, that's going to be tough. It would have been nice to get a win over them, but they are number 1 overall. We moved to number 5 in the standings right now. Again, well, Rain, that is still good enough to get them into the playoffs as well. So we'll see. But again, a team that a lot of talent on this team, but the way they've been playing lately, it just does not give a lot of confidence. 4 out of the last 5 games have been losses. That's not good. So I don't know what they need to. Rose Lavelle was out this game, so maybe that makes the difference when she gets back. But I don't know. I guess other news that you should know about this team: they exercised the option on Jess Fishlock, and they exercised the option on Jordan Heidema. So they're going to be around. Great, because those are both great players. Unfortunately and sadly, we lost Fallon Tulis Joyce, who was transferred to Manchester United. My goodness. And maybe that was a difference tonight with Portland, and losing 2-0, because, yeah, we're talking about a goalie in Fallon that was, competing for goalie of the year in the time that she had been here with the OL Reign. Since she had joined the team, every year she'd be like in talks of like, oh, goalie of the year type candidate, right? Well, now we lose her, and we come out, we lose 2-0 right away. The goalie, they can do a lot to get your defense in position, get their heads on straight. And we already see how it turns out to be a loss in the first game here. Not saying that that was the difference, because Portland is just that good, but you never know. Maybe it could have been difference making. But there you go. There's your old Rain. Remember, what's today? The 16th. So just 3 games left now for the OL Reign. Just 2 games left at home. So those are your 2 games that you're going to have left to get a chance to see Megan Rapinoe at home before she retires. Okay, so if you can, definitely go get those tickets and go watch this team. All right, and no Sea Dragons news or anything. So that is that's going to be the episode for today. Pretty quick, pretty easy. Got through it. Like I said, we're looking at the Seahawks tomorrow. We'll come in and do a post game show. But for now, I'd love to know what you think the Seahawks need to do to win in week 2. How do you think they need to attack the Lions defense, and what do you think our defense needs to improve, or what can our defense do to stop this juggernaut of an offense that the Detroit Lions have? Put that down in the comments below. The Mariners, I want your comments on the Mariners. I want to know, do you think this team has what it takes? Are they gonna make the playoffs in this last 14 games going down the stretch? Destiny in their own hands. Can they get it done? Do you think they can get it done? All right, that's what I want to see in the comments of this video. Make sure you're hitting the subscribe button. Make sure you're hitting the notification bell. If you're listening on a podcast platform, make sure you subscribe or hit follow, whatever you need to do. Leave a 5-star rating. Leave a review on if your platform, whatever you're listening on, lets you do that. All those things help the show grow. And like I also said, I would be working on building a Discord channel. I am still working on that. I haven't finished it yet. I'm trying to build it similarly to what I have with because I have a very successful Fortnite podcast that I do called Daily Fortnite. So I have a Discord channel set up over there for that, and so I'm trying to set up the sports channel in a similar way. It's going to be different because we're talking about sports and not a video game. So I'm trying to figure out how to set it up in the best way for fans to interact with each other and talk about the topics they want to talk about. In a fashion where it's not just like going to be a jumbled mess where you have people talking about different sports all in the same room and channels, and it's all a confused jumble, right? And then the other thing is my other channel. It is a family friendly, and I was like, can you even do that with sports? Because in my personal life, I don't really talk quote unquote family friendly, right? I do that on the podcast, and I do that in my Fortnite Discord and in that community over there. And that was pretty easy to do because right from the beginning, like right when my show got success over there, I got this like nice email from like this grandma, right, saying like, oh, she loved listening to the show with her granddaughter, and she didn't, and she liked listening to it because it was, at the point I only had like a few episodes out, but she liked that it was family friendly and that she could listen to her granddaughter unlike other channels, where it's like a kid's game. And to me, sports also. Sports, you start out liking that as kids, like, right? That's where fandom should be grown from when you are a child. That's where you plant the seeds, and then you become a lifelong fan. So when I set up the sports channel, I was thinking, I don't know, can that be done in a sports? Because sports, as you grow up, you're so passionate about the teams that you love, and that's why I'm doing a podcast about the teams in the city that I love, because I'm very passionate about them. Can you do it in a family-friendly environment? And I've actually joined a couple other sports and discords and sports teams discords where I've been in the last week, and they have family-friendly channels set up, and I've seen that it can be done successfully. So I'm like, you know what? It can be done. So when I get this Discord channel set up, that's what's going to be the plan for this one as well. It's going to be, hey, this is a place where adults and kids can talk about the sports that they love together. Like for instance, I have a 12-year-old who just this year, because all his friends got, like, I've had Discord myself for gaming and like talking with friends for years. And even though my son's a gamer, he was young, and now in the middle of middle school, he's got a ton of friends who have Discord, so they all have Discord now. So my son just recently got a Discord as well, 12 years old, right? So it should be a place where sports fans, this channel should be a place where Seattle sports fans can get together, young or old, and share our love for our teams, or even share our frustrations for our teams when they're doing bad, but in a family-friendly environment where we're encouraging, the young fans to, be fans and be good people. So that's going to be the deal once I get that set up. But like I said, when I get it set up, I'll let everybody know so that you can go join that, and I think that would be really fun. All right, so there you go. That is the episode. Until next time, this has been the Seattle Sports Show, where we love Seattle sports, the Seattle pro sports teams. So, lost my train of thought. Anyways, thanks for listening to the Seattle Sports Show, where we watch legends awaken and breathe fire. So take cover, because with a sea of sound, you will see us rise to reign supreme and win forever.